What's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to be seeing what happens when you put an Xbox Series X disc in an Xbox One. So as you can see, I've got an Xbox One X here, and right behind it I've got the Xbox Series X, brand new, just came out. I'm not actually going to be using that console in this video, but I just have it there, so I figured I'd show it off, I guess. And yeah, I got my Xbox One controller here, Xbox Series X controller there. Basically look exactly the same. Pretty similar controllers, but yeah, let me give you a little bit of background on why I'm doing this. So first of all, I think Microsoft did a pretty poor job on differentiating the Xbox One X, or just the Xbox One in general, with the Xbox Series X. First of all, they're super similar names, and a lot of the components of the two consoles are like extremely similar, like the GUI, the user interface on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X look extremely similar, if not pretty much exactly the same. I haven't done like a side-by-side comparison or anything, but they're super similar. And then also, the big thing is that the game cases look so much similar. Like, I can just imagine a mom or a grandparent or anybody that doesn't know exactly what they're looking for going in and picking up the incorrect game. So let's just take a look at this at first. So there's a lot of different combinations of this, but here's just an Xbox One game, and here's an Xbox Series X game. You know, just looking at them from a distance, they look exactly the same. Pretty much the only difference is this says Xbox One up top, and this one only says Xbox. And then there's a little black line right here that says Xbox Series X. So I just find that pretty confusing. It's really easy to just glance at it. You know, the game cases look exactly the same, and you're just going to be like, all right, here's 2K20 for the Xbox Series X. Pick it up, bring it home, and you know, they picked up the Xbox One game instead of the Xbox Series X game, which obviously will have some downsides to it. And then these two game cases right here are not even the only combination of game cases. There's also some other ones that make it even more confusing. So I was actually at Target yesterday picking up my Series X, and I was looking at the Xbox One, or the Xbox Series X games and Xbox One games, and I noticed that there's even more, combinations. As you can see on my screen right now, I've got a couple different pictures. I'll show it up on the screen so that you can see it better, but basically on the left side, there's an Xbox Series X game, and on the right side, there's an Xbox One game. Now, they look exactly the same. The only difference is on the right side, it says Xbox One at top, and on the left side, it says Xbox up top. And then there's a little black bar right below it, where on the left side, it says Xbox Series X and then Xbox One, and on the right side, it says Xbox One and then Xbox Series X. So the game on the left side is the actual Xbox Series X game, whereas the game on the right side is the actual Xbox One game. And essentially, I think they both work on each other, but I'm not sure if there's actually a difference in the game. I think one of the games might be optimized for the Xbox Series X, and the other one is not optimized for it, but I'm not 100% sure. And this is why I think Microsoft did a pretty poor job of, differentiating the consoles, and just in general, they're extremely similar, even use the same controllers and stuff, which is good in some cases, but bad in other cases. I think it's going to result in a lot of mistakes made. But let's go ahead and get into the video, the meat of it. So basically, I have an Xbox One game here, and this one is supposed to only work on the Xbox One. Obviously with the Xbox Series X, it's supposedly backwards compatible, which I haven't actually tried out yet, but it's supposed to be backwards compatible with pretty much all Xbox One games. So theoretically, if I put this Xbox One game in my Xbox Series X, it would work. But I haven't tried it out yet, so I'm just putting my Xbox One game in my Xbox One for now, just to show you what is supposed to happen. So the last app I went to is Settings, which is the one that shows up, and then once I put the disc in, it'll go to NBA 2K20. And on the left-hand side, it'll show my last app that I opened. So that's what's supposed to happen when I play an actual Xbox One game. I pressed the wrong button there. And then let me go ahead and exit out of this game and eject it. And so we're going to see what happens when we put what is supposedly just an Xbox Series X game in the console. Now this kind of goes back to the weirdness I was just showing you, where there are some Xbox Series X games that work on the Xbox One, but this appears to not be one of those because it only says Xbox Series X up top. But again, I'm not 100% sure, so we're gonna try it out and see what happens, see if it works, and maybe it'll just, I'm hoping at least gives me some clarification on the screen. One differentiator, I guess, is that the Xbox Series X games are $70 and the Xbox One games are $60 for the most part. I have seen some Xbox Series X games that are $60, so that doesn't help at all either. But if it works, it should show up over there. Oh, okay. So it says, sorry, this game isn't compatible. Choose something else or try the disc on the Xbox Series X. So that's a good thing. It at least gives me some clarification that it isn't compatible on this console, and it specifically tells me to try it on the Xbox Series X. So I guess that's a good thing. Now I'm not sure if there's, I guess what I could do, so I guess if I wanted to play a game on my Xbox One and my Xbox Series X and I wanted to like switch back and forth, I'm not sure why I would do that, but I could do that if I bought the NBA 2K21 version, or the Xbox One version of NBA 2K21. Then I could play it on both the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X. But the issue there is that that game won't be optimized for the Xbox Series X. And you know, I think some games, including NBA 2K21, the Xbox Series X version of the game is actually quite different from the Xbox One game. Not only graphical upgrades and stuff, but I think the game itself is a little bit different. Like the gameplay is a little different and stuff. So there you go, guys. As you can see, this specific game does not work on the Xbox One, and the Xbox One told us that. But you know, that kind of just goes back to the fact that I think Microsoft made this kind of confusing. You know, for somebody that's a hardcore gamer that kind of knows the ins and outs of the games, it probably won't be an issue. But just for your everyday consumer that's going to go to the store and pick up a game, you know, I think they're going to run into a lot of issues where they pick up the Xbox One version of the game when they're trying to play on the Series X, which technically is not going to be a problem because it should work. But of course, you're going to lose out on any of the upgrades that might be on the Xbox Series X. So I know this video kind of turned into somewhat of a rant about the Xbox One versus the Xbox Series X, but you know, the meat of it was trying out the Xbox Series X game on the Xbox One. Hope you enjoyed the video and have a great day.